Now, I want to read a really fantastic, it's a long story, it's an amazing story, and it's well worth reading. And it's the story of a man called Anselm Tورميدا. And he was a priest and a Christian scholar. And he was a person who wrote a book. He converted to Islam, and he wrote a book, The Gift to the Intelligent, for refuting the arguments of the Christians. And in the introduction to his book, he writes the story of how he became Muslim. It's really fascinating, and especially in respect to the Paraclete. And who is the Paraclete? So let's go through it. It's a long story, a fantastic story. I'll do my best to get through it and make it interesting. First of all, this Anselm was born in a city of Mallorca. And as he mentions, he describes Mallorca and that big merchant ships used to come there to the harbor with different goods. And he's mentioning that the city is a city and an island both at the same time. Now he says that his father was a well-respected man in the city and that he was his only son. And when he was 6, he was sent to a priest who taught him the gospel and logic. That's obviously common in those times, that the priests in fact were the only people who were really learned and they could read and write. And they were also, many of them, well instructed in philosophy. So he learned the gospel and logic, and which he finished in 6 years. So this is by the time that he was 12. I lived in the church with an aged priest. He was greatly respected by the people because of his knowledge and religiousness and asceticism, which distinguished him from other Christian priests. Questions and requests for advice came from everywhere, from kings and rulers, along with presents and gifts. They hoped that he would accept their presents and grant them his blessings. The priest taught me the principles of Christianity and its rulings. I became very close to him by serving and assisting him with his duties until I became one of his most trusted assistants, so that he trusted me with the keys of his room in the church and the food and the drink stores. He kept for himself only the key of a small room where he used to sleep, I think, and Allah knows best, that he kept his treasure chest in there. I was a student and a servant for a period of 10 years. Then he fell ill and failed to attend the meetings of his fellow priests. During his absence, the priest discussed some religious matters, until they came to what was said by the Almighty Allah through his Prophet Jesus in the Gospel. After him will come a prophet called Paraclete. It's interesting that he says, after him will come a prophet called Paraclete. They argued a great deal about this prophet and as to who he was among the prophets. Everyone gave his opinion according to his knowledge and understanding, and they ended without achieving any benefit in that issue. I went to my priest, and as usual he asked me about what was discussed in the meeting that day. I mentioned to him the different opinions of the priests about the name Paraclete, and how they finished the meeting without clarifying the matter. He asked me, what was your answer? I gave my opinion, which was taken from interpretation of a well-known exegesis. He said that I was nearly correct, like some priests, and the other priests were wrong. But the truth is different from all of that. This is because the interpretation of that noble name is only known to a small number of very well-versed scholars. And we possess only a little knowledge. I fell down and kissed his feet, saying, Sir, you know that I traveled and came to you from a far distant country. I have served you now for more than 10 years and have attained knowledge beyond estimation. So please favor me and tell me the truth about his name. The priest then wept and said, My son, by God, You are very much dear to me for serving me and devoting yourself to me. Know the truth about this name, and there is great benefit, but there is also a great danger. And I fear that when you know about this truth, and the Christians discover that, you will be killed immediately. I said, by God, by the gospel, and he who is sent with it, I shall never speak any word about what you will tell me. I shall keep it in my heart. He said, my son, when you came here from your country, I asked you if it is near to the Muslims and whether they made raids against you and if you made raids against them. This was to test your hatred for Islam. Know, my son, that Paraclete is the name of their Prophet Muhammad, to whom was revealed the fourth book as mentioned by Daniel. His way is the clear way which is mentioned in the Gospel. I said, then sir, what do you say about the religion of these Christians? He said, my son, if these Christians remained on the original religion of Jesus, then they would have been on God's religion. Because the religion of Jesus and all the other prophets is the true religion of God. But they changed it and became unbelievers. I asked him, then sir, what is the salvation from this? He said, oh my son, embracing Islam. I asked him, will the one who embraces Islam be saved? He answered, yes, in this world and the next. I said, the prudent chooses for himself. If you know, sir, the merit of Islam, then what keeps you from it? He answered, my son, the Almighty Allah did not expose me to the truth of Islam and the Prophet of Islam until after I have become old and my body weakened. Yes, there is no excuse for us in this. On the contrary, the proof of Allah has been established against us. If God had guided me to this when I was your age, I would have left everything and adopted the religion of truth. Love of this world is the essence of every sin. And look how I am esteemed, glorified and honored by the Christians, and how I am living in affluence and comfort. In my case, if I show a slight inclination towards Islam, they would kill me immediately. Suppose that I was saved from them and succeeded in escaping to the Muslims. They would say, do not count your Islam as a favor upon us. Rather, you have benefited yourself by entering the religion of truth, the religion that will save you from the punishment of Allah. So I would live amongst them as a poor man of more than 90 years without knowing their language and would die amongst them starving. I am, and all praise is due to Allah on the religion of Christ and on that which He came with, and Allah knows this from me. So I asked him, do you advise me to go to the country of the Muslims and adopt their religion? He said to me, if you are wise and hope to save yourself, then race to that which will achieve benefit for you in this life and the next. But my son, none is present with us concerning this matter. It is between you and me only. Exert yourself and keep it a secret. If it is disclosed and the people know about it, they will kill you immediately. I will be of no benefit to you against them. Neither will it be of any use to you if you tell them what you heard from me concerning Islam, or that I encourage you to be a Muslim, for I shall deny it. They trust my testimony against yours, so do not tell a word whatever happens. I promised him not to do so. He was satisfied and content with my promise. And I began to prepare for my journey and bid him farewell. He gave me 50 golden dinars, and then I took a ship to the city of Mallorca, where I stayed with my parents for 6 months. Then I traveled to Sicily and remained there for 5 months, waiting for a ship bound for the land of the Muslims. Finally, a ship arrived bound for Tunis. Anyway, he goes on to mention how he went to Tunis and he got off the ship, and the Christian scholars who heard of his arrival came to greet him, because he was famous. He'd become famous by this time for his knowledge. And so the Christian scholars came to greet him. But instead, indeed, he went to embrace Islam. So this is the story of Anselm Tورميدا, and of course how he recognized, how his teacher had recognized the Paraclete was in fact Prophet Muhammad, as had been mentioned in the Injil. Join